All right, the recording should be going. So, welcome everyone. I'm really excited to have you all here today. In case you don't know me, my name is Stephanie Kunkel. I am a performance and business coach for neurodivergent solopreneurs. And I am really excited to be talking about nutrition here. I have a fundamental belief that as solopreneurs, we are our business, so we have to take care of ourselves and we have to power ourselves and our brains with the right things so that we can show up every day the way that we need to. So I'm really excited to have Zach Zenner with us today. Zach Zenner, I got really excited when I first met him because he is not only a certified nutritionist, but he is also an ex-NFL star. So I am super excited to have him here because if there's anybody that knows anything about nutrition, it is a pro athlete. And so I want to just kind of welcome you. I'm going to open the floor a little bit, Zach, for you to share a little bit about you and your business. And then before we get started into the nitty gritty about nutrition, I want to talk about change and the brain. So I'll let you introduce yourself first, though.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, it was great to connect with you as well. And you were incorrect when you said NFL star. Was never a star. Did
Definitely a
play for
star.
5 seasons, scratched and clawed for a 5-year career. Also, I do have to say I don't normally sound like this. Got a frog in my throat for like a week now. Won't kick it. You think a nutritionist wouldn't get sick, but getting sick is actually a sign of a balanced cortisol system. So here I am with my frog in my throat. I played in the NFL for 5 years before, mainly for the Detroit Lions. I got the helmet over my shoulder now, a new addition to my background. Before I played in the NFL, I was accepted to medical school. During my career, I recognized medical school wasn't the right path for me for a number of reasons. One of them being I recognized that the current healthcare system is really set up to make sick people not sick. And that holds a ton of value. But that wasn't what I became passionate about during my NFL career. So not going to medical school, what should I do? Well, I had spent the last 5 years optimizing my body and mind for performance. And hey, I could help others do the same. But I didn't just want to be the jock that was like, hey, look, I did it, so I can teach you how to do it. So I went and got a health coach certification and then the master's in nutrition, which I pushed the ball up the hill and got a certified nutrition specialist license after that, which was probably the hardest part, to be honest. And since then, I've been coaching people through in one-on-one coaching settings. I'm getting into more speaking type events as well, having a lot of fun helping people accomplish their health goals, which have been a variety of different things from simply getting stronger, improving A1C, weight loss. But one of the key things that I enjoy focusing on in my programs is increasing energy levels of my clients because that's such a better metric to track than the scale because it truly is about how you're feeling and not, if you feel good, the body will come after, right? But it's not always the other way around. So that's my focus. And we attack things through a dress framework, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation, and spirit, or dress with an extra S. Diet and supplementation being the most technical experience for me, but those other components more relying on my personal experience. But I think you have to target all of those to be successful.
And that's one of the reasons I was so excited to have met you. And then when we had our first conversation, it was just such a great talk because we align on a lot of that.
Yeah.
I went and got a diet planning certification, and part of the reason I went and got that certification was in part because I had a couple of clients who were asking about, well, what should I eat? And I'm like, I have no clue, right? Like, so
Right.
let me go talk and get this. I wanted to just get the certification so I knew what I was talking about. And the reality of it is I have struggled with weight my whole entire life. And at the end of the day, I have a pretty extensive background in understanding what works and what doesn't for my body. And I wanted to make sure that the information that I was sharing wasn't gonna set somebody up for failure. And I learned one of the first things I learned in that entire process was we cannot do a complete overhaul unless somebody is ready for it. And that resonated with me in part because of the fact that I learned a lot about the trauma brain. So that's the other side of some of my background as well, as trauma-informed care and certifications in cognitive behavioral coaching. And when I look at how our brain responds to change, if we've spent our entire lives eating a certain way, and then we get into a space where we're like, okay, I don't have energy. I'm burned out. Like, I feel like my soul is eating me alive from the inside out. We know that nutrition is a fundamental part of that, from mental health to performance and business and across the spectrum in every other way. Um, so nutrition is a fundamental part of that. And for me personally, recognizing that and also recognizing that when we go back to the word change, our brains simply don't always like change. As somebody who has ADHD, it likes novelty, but it doesn't like necessarily completely flipping the script. And it likes that novelty within the containers of comfort. So, yeah, I wanted just to kind of remind everyone that our brain is wired to alert us when something is wrong with our body and with our environment. And when you are putting a different type of food into your body or something is a little bit different, it's going to feel different. You're going to have a different experience. And your brain is wired to set off some alarm bells and say, hey, this is not the status quo. This is not normal. What's going on here? And so just being aware of that when you step into changing your nutritional substance is really important. So um, I look at change as small changes for big results. That's one of the things that I like to talk about. Looking at one element of your nutrition at a time, if you can't overhaul everything, if your brain is not in that space to overhaul everything. And in fact, Zach, you and I talked yesterday about just one little simple change I could make to potentially level
Yeah.
set my body, right, and help with my system. So I it's so important to me that people understand that the mental health aspect of weight and nutrition and what we should and shouldn't do, it's all one really big experiment. That's how I look at life.
Mm.
And understanding what works for us, it's not always going to be what works for everybody else. So try it out, look at it as having some fun with things. And yeah, so I want to ask the room, what did we have for dinner tonight?
What I have for dinner tonight. I had, oh gosh, I had 2 cheese, string cheese. I had cottage cheese. I had sugar-free Jello and sugar-free whipped cream in it. And
You grabbed a snack before you got on here.
I did grab a snack. That was kind of my snack. Dinner, I didn't really eat anything in the last few hours. But the one little changes that I've made in the last 2 months that has really helped is switching over to monk fruit. I absolutely love it instead of sugar. And I'm cooking with it. I'm doing everything. Yesterday, I discovered you can make phenomenal kettle corn with 2 tablespoons of monk fruit instead of eating the crap caramel corn that I love to get in the grocery store. It is better, right, Zach?
I would say, yeah.
Although popcorn is kind of up for discussion, and maybe that's something
Yeah.
you can talk about. Is popcorn good or bad?
I like to say there's no food that is either good or bad. But in general, popcorn has a lot of benefits, including fiber and protein. So I view popcorn as a great choice for a snack or in
Yes.
addition to a meal.
Okay. All right. Good. I feel better then.
Alicia, how about you? What'd you have for dinner?
Gumbo left over from Easter. So yeah, nice.
Mm,
It was good.
yeah. What about you, Zach? What'd you have for dinner?
No dinner yet. I will be eating after this. I'll have a fried, lightly fried or lightly breaded, air fried chicken salad
Nice.
Chicken.
with and also interesting kind of addition that or change that my wife has made, small change that we made to that dish probably about 6 months ago was adding goat cheese instead of blue cheese crumbles. Goat cheese adds a nice little tang to the air fried chicken salad. Also interesting for those that are dairy sensitive, they can typically handle goat cheese better because of the way that the proteins are organized.
Interesting.
Nice, nice. The other thing I had earlier today, and I haven't had my bean soup, my 16 bean soup, and I'll probably have that even though I don't normally eat this late. I'll probably have that after. But my daughter sent me a recipe for keto-friendly dessert that I made for Easter with almonds, flour, a stick of butter, a thing of Philadelphia cream cheese, blueberries, and monk fruit. That's all that's in it. Oh, and eggs. So it's high protein, low carbs, just really, really good. It has become a favorite here. So we
Yeah.
really love that for dessert. So just making those things, and we do gluten-free because talk about brain, gluten makes my ADHD off the charts. I didn't even know I had anxiety until I quit eating gluten and brain fog like crazy. It's bad. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say one of the best things that I think I ever did for me to understand my body was an elimination diet several years ago. And I did that because I was experiencing a lot of fibro symptoms. And somebody recommended it to me, a YouTube channel doctor recommended it to me. But I learned a lot about what my body likes and what it doesn't like. And I learned kind of the signals that my body gives me when something is not okay and when my body does not like something. So that was super helpful. I don't recommend an elimination diet for everybody. Talk to your doctor for sure, but it was helpful for me only because of the fact that I realized I'm not supposed to eat breakfast. So yeah, I say that because gluten, dairy, bacon, and maple syrup are all trigger foods for me.
there
So
are other things for breakfast, Stephanie,
I
besides
know, but
that.
pancakes and bacon and eggs and nobody's going to Denny's in this household. Anyway, so I guess I will turn it over to you, Zach, to kind of share your thoughts and some of your material. And again, I just want to say thanks for being here and thank you all for joining. And yeah, I'm going to put myself on mute and then I will sit and listen.
Awesome. All right, I've got slides. I don't know if can you guys see the slides?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
we're seeing your yeah, we're seeing your screen with yes,
Oh, I can't see you guys now.
what am I
Is that
trying to
okay?
say? You guys get it. Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay. I can't see you, but I guess that's okay.
That's
Not as
okay.
fun, but all right. It's still good on the slides?
Yes, better on the slides actually.
Okay, good. So this is my background that I went into, just kind of my journey. I want to skip to just for the sake of time. This is titled for Fueling for All Day Energy, but the I just didn't change the topic because essentially feeling energy is my thing, right? Kind of the thing I like to focus on.
Yep.
But to me, energy and performance go hand in hand. And what we want to do, in my opinion, is focus almost all of our dietary effort on unprocessed protein. I think if this is your focus, you'll be 75% of the way there. And when I say that, I'm referring to the average person. Of course, there are certain disease states, there are certain conditions where this won't be the case. But For many, it is, even in disease states. So what does that mean to me? Excuse me. What does unprocessed mean to me? Because I think there's a difference between unprocessed and ultra processed. Whenever you cook or whenever you eat, you're going to process your food, right? And most of us aren't eating raw fish, aside from the occasional sushi meal. So one or two ingredients on the label, food you need to prepare yourself. So you do take it through one phase of the processing. But then you compare that to ultra processed foods. Foods that have been drastically changed from its natural state often contain added ingredients like preservatives, emulsifying agents. We're just discussing a very simple cake, right? If you were to buy that same cake, a keto cake from the store, it would have had all these things added in. When you make it yourself, it's just the ingredients. So that's what I mean when I say unprocessed protein. That's what we want to focus on, our dietary efforts for performance. And why? There's so many great reasons why. I'm not going to go through all of these. I have like 10 slides because it's so important. But proteins, for starters, proteins are the main building blocks of muscle, tendons, and ligaments. The more muscle you have, typically the less inflamed you'll be, the more energy you're going to have. Muscles are metabolically active tissue. More protein equals healthier tendons and ligaments, potentially less injuries. They've seen a lot of different studies where following an orthopedic surgery, like a shoulder replacement, a hip replacement, a labral tear, an ACL repair, in athletes or even in general population, consuming an adequate amount of protein, which adequate for me is different than a typical adequate. Consuming an adequate amount of protein results in better outcomes, faster recovery times, alluding to the second point. Proteins are also the building blocks of neurotransmitters. Tyrosine, amino acid found in beef, pork, chicken, among other foods. It's the precursor, the building block for dopamine, the reward hormone.
Yay, dopamine.
Tryptophan. Yeah. Well, yeah, we all have a little, I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but we all have a little black box we carry around that's trying to hijack our dopamine system, right? Our cell phones, trying to hijack that reward system. So tyrosine is going to help replenish that. I actually just listened to someone I really respect in the space talking about tyrosine and dopamine and how that can help with motivation for working out, prevent that burnout that can happen with athletes that are training really hard. Now, as a former athlete, I don't have to worry about that. I'm trying to get in the gym 4 times a week. I'm fighting for it. But still, right, dopamine is under siege in today's world. Tryptophan as well, amino acid found in chicken, turkey, tofu, again, among others. Those are just some of the highest. The precursor, the building block for serotonin, the happy hormone. So I don't know about you guys, but I could use more strong reward signals and more happiness.
Yes.
Now, protein is going to help is going to make it difficult to overeat in other food groups and prevent the dangerous snacking that can come between meals. To me, snacking between meals, depending on what your perspective, we talked about a snack earlier, right? That was an excellent snack, a lot of protein, high quality dairy, blueberries, that sort of thing. Most of the time when we're on the go, you're looking at a corner market, or about 50% of airport and travel stores look something like this with this type of food. And there's one little row here, if you guys can see my mouse, but there's one little row with some nuts. Even these Sahara nuts have a lot of sugar in them. But we got some plain pistachios, we got some Jack Link's jerky. Those are probably the only foods. Popcorn, that's a decent one down here. Water. But in general, most of what we're seeing in this corner market that sits in hotel lobbies, or this type of store that sits in airports, are things that are going to hurt your energy and then hurt your performance. So by focusing on the unprocessed protein for your meals, you're then going to be able to avoid these pit stops, because your blood sugar won't be going up and down, which we'll talk about next. Alicia's gonna love that. And prevent I call it dangerous snacking. It's not dangerous for everyone, but a lot of times it's dangerous from a body composition standpoint. And if blood sugar is an issue, then it's an issue for that reason as well. All right, I love this one. Protein helps maintain steady blood sugar levels. This is super cool. This image on the right is from the glucose goddess. She is all about blood sugar. And I think, to be honest, she's actually taken it too far, in my humble opinion. If you have normal blood sugar, then blood sugar spikes are a normal physiological response to consuming carbohydrates and energy. But if blood sugar is an issue, for example, diabetics or pre-diabetics, and it's estimated many Americans fall into those categories, then these spikes and excursions in blood sugar are potentially causing harm from an inflammation standpoint and from an energy standpoint, because what goes up is going to come down, and then you're riding the wave of carbohydrate, buzz, high, energy, crash, going for caffeine, or in guys, they're going for a Zyn, some nicotine, or another snack. Just riding this roller coaster up and down. What she has done here in this image, which is really neat, she's worn a continuous glucose monitor, and she's eaten mango, rice, and then tomato and shrimp ceviche in that order. And her blood sugar has spiked from baseline about 50 and then come back down. This is just screenshotted from her Instagram account. She's a decent follow if you're looking to follow someone. In this bottom image, she's had the same foods, except she's had it in a different order. She's led with the protein and the veggies, tomato and shrimp ceviche, the rice, then the mango. And her blood sugar spike has been cut by 40%, maybe 50. We don't have the exact numbers, we just have the graph. So protein combined with the veggies. You can do veggies first or you can do protein first. But both the fiber from the vegetables, or fiber in general, and the protein are both going to help maintain steady and more level blood sugar levels. Again, just to clarify, if you have normal, well-controlled blood sugar, that's not as much of a concern. But if you fall in the category of diabetic or pre-diabetic, then this is something you want to focus on. For me, also, which is not included on the slide, I lead my meals with protein because if there's anything left on my plate, I want it to be the carbs and the fats. I want there to be leftover rice and mango. I don't want there to be leftover steak. I don't want there to be leftover shrimp. And you're going to see why in a few minutes here. So you can answer in your heart. I can't see you guys, but who's going to focus on protein for their next meal? We got a lot of good reasons why, but how much? That is the $1 million question that nutritionists debate. So here's my stance: 0.7 to 1 grams per pound of lean body mass per day. And I'm going to break down this entire sentence. It's complicated, it's sciencey. We're going to break it down. So focusing on the per pound of lean body mass per day, or you could also say per pound of of ideal body weight is another way to look at this. So the lean body mass, not total body mass. There's ways you can estimate this number. You can think of weight at a time when you were in really good shape and subtract 10 to 15 pounds. Maybe you're like, hey, Zach, I've never been in great shape. Okay, that's fine. You can go based on your height and frame. For example, a male who's 5'9" likely has around 120 pounds of lean mass. You can go with simple estimates. There's ways you can get this number measured. DEXA scan, found in doctor's offices, or there are typically 1 to 2 public locations per metro area. I know there's one in Minneapolis. You can just show up and get a DEXA scan, or excuse me, 2 places that I'm aware of. But most of them are found in doctor's offices, and they're prescribed. DEXA scans are prescribed by doctors for women to measure bone density. Side benefit of that scan, you can see your fat-free mass or your lean mass, as well as any imbalances between your legs. We actually used to get it once a quarter when we were in the NFL. You can also get an in-body scan, not as accurate. That's a scale where you stand on metal plates and then you hold handles in your hand. The handles also have metal. An in-body scan is sending an electrical current from those 4 points and seeing how long that current takes to get to each contact point. The longer it takes, the more fat mass you have, because fat does not conduct electricity. The percent error, however, on those in-body scans is like 1 to 5%, I believe. So you don't want the DEXA is the gold standard. In-body you can use, but you want to just look at trends. You don't want to take it as gospel, each individual reading. You can also get skin fold measurements done by a professional. Someday I would like to have an office, and then I will become a skin fold measurement specialist. But as of right now, doing everything virtual, I'm not one of those professionals. What that is a practitioner will essentially pinch your skin at different parts of your body and then see how thick that skin is. Or that tissue is that they grab. It's pretty invasive. I had that. That's what we did in college. Okay, so here's an example. I'm around 224 pounds. I am about 15% body fat. I'm probably actually a little bit leaner, but this is just for the ease of calculation. I am. That gives me about 336 pounds of fat mass. That means I have around 190 pounds of lean mass. And the reason I know this, I haven't done a DEX in a while, but I just had so many DEXs and stuff done. I know about how I look and what I'm gonna equal out to. Okay, the another part of that sentence, 0.7 to 1 grams per pound of lean body mass per day. We did the per pound of lean body mass or the per pound of ideal body weight. Now, but what about this number? It's a range because everyone has unique goals, digestive capacity, age, etc. 0.7 is the floor, the minimum. 1 is the goal. Can you go beyond this? Short answer is yes, but it's you're not likely going to get more muscle benefits or fat loss benefits or performance benefits. It just you might eat less of the carbs and fats, and protein has a higher thermic effect of food. Anyway, the short answer is yes, you can go beyond it. Notice though, this is in grams, not ounces. Good rule of thumb is 6 grams of protein per ounce of animal meat. Here's a table that explains some of those things. So 4 eggs, about 24 grams. Eggs are going to disappoint you. They're about 6 grams per egg. So we'll get into kind of my goals. But if I'm going to just have eggs for a meal, I need to eat 10 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. It's hard to eat 10 eggs, trust me. Then we got chicken breast, about 30. You'll notice the difference here between half pound of ground beef and a half pound of ground turkey. Turkey is leaner, so a half pound of turkey is going to have more protein in it, but still pretty good amounts there. So grams, not ounces. Going back to my example, here we go. We're adding this section to the bottom now. Remember, I'm 190 pounds of lean mass, 0.7 to 1 gram per pound. That range for me is 133 to 190 grams of protein.
Same. I know I was
Okay,
told
and
I'm supposed to do 70 grams of protein, and I'm like, you're insane. Like, I don't know how to put that much protein in my body.
well, I have this, that's the magic, right? Is like,
Yeah.
hey, this is the how, but like the actually how to get it and fit into your life, that's what I love doing for my clients because it is challenging and it is hard. But I've figured out a way to make it work in my life as a business owner times 2 and a dad times 3 and a husband. And that's what I help my clients do because this can be really challenging. You know what the worst part is? This last bit per day. This is the worst of it.
Yeah.
Every day, regardless of if you worked out, are working out, are active, are inactive. This is a good goal for you. Now, maybe if you're bedridden and aren't utilizing your muscles at all, then maybe you don't need the 0.7. But even then, if I was bedridden, I would still be reaching for that 0.7, that lower end of that range, because it's going to help preserve my muscle mass despite inactivity.
Right. Yeah.
Here's a big thing too. Boy, girl, man, woman, this does not change. This does not change based on your gender. So I just want to go back. I got some FAQs here in a second, but I just want to go back to this example. I'm 224 pounds, about 15% body fat. I want to go through another example here. Say you are 250 pounds, but you like to be at 180 pounds. Okay. Oops. So that 180 pounds is your ideal weight. Then you just take 180 times 0.7 to 1, right? So your range is going to be really close to mine. Your range is going to be, 120 to 180 grams of protein per day, every day, day after day. And remember the why here, just to recap the why, were all the things we talked about. Prevent snacking, build muscle, which then helps you get lean, help your tendons and your joints, help your brain, your neurochemistry, from the neurotransmitter perspective. You think there was one more? Oh, and then the blood sugar. And then blood sugar, we know, especially for those with ADD or ADHD, is we have some of those people. We know blood sugar is so closely related to those symptoms.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the key too, is recognizing that this isn't just about body composition or athletic performance. This is about our ability to enjoy life, right? Like
Yes.
One of the things that I love that Zach does, by the way, is he offers a 100-year body map, right? And so he gives you some ideas of what types of activities that you need to be doing now, so that when you get closer to 100, you can still live a life where you're able to pick up your cat or, play with the grandkids or whatever that looks like. So it's not just about, body composition and things like that. It's really about living your best life for as long as possible. And as we've got at least 3 of us, I think, who are well, all of us, I think, here are really we look at mental health as something that's really important. And I think when we look at things like depression, anxiety, ADHD, and just the whole entire spectrum of the way that our brain works, from the ups and downs and the ways of the moon and the energies that we experience, it's really important that we just recognize that there are lots of different ways to do things, but how are we taking care of ourselves, for sure, is the question here. So just wanted to chime in on that.
Yeah, it's a great tie-in, Stephanie. Just that when you think of muscle, and I should probably add this slide, but muscle is the currency of longevity, because the stronger your legs are, the more you can interact with the people around you, because the more you can walk around, the more you can have social connections, be connected to society, and be what makes us human. The more you can have a pet and care for that pet and pick up that pet's litter or dog food or whatever it is, the more you can pick up that great grandkid and hold them. I have a grandmother-in-law that really was only ever able to hold our children for very short periods of time because she wasn't strong enough. And you could tell it broke her heart a bit. But that's why another good tie-in as to why protein, why muscle. It's mental performance, it's physical performance, but that physical performance isn't about just crushing weights at the gym or being your most athletic version of yourself. It's about being there and living life. You want to live it for as long as you can.
Yep.
A couple of frequently asked questions that I get: can we only observe a certain amount of protein per meal? False. Your muscle protein synthesis, or the signal that tells your muscles to grow, does get maxed out around 30 or 40 grams of protein. That's where this myth comes from. So when you eat beyond 30 grams of protein in a sitting, you are not getting more muscle protein synthesis or muscle growth signal. However, your body is still absorbing that protein. It's still utilizing those amino acids. And in terms of body composition outcomes, your total daily protein amount trumps any sort of spacing up between the meals. With exception, if you eat just one meal, if you only eat twice a day, it can be really hard to get the amount of protein you need in. It's hard to absorb. That's where it starts to get hard to absorb. So as long as you're having at least 3 feedings a day, you're fine. Do I need protein right after I work out? The short answer is no, but this one's a little bit more nuanced. This myth comes from the fact there's this view of, okay, within 30 minutes you need to have carbohydrates and protein to optimize your recovery and your performance. And there might be some truth to that, but it's a very small margin. Typically, if we're not talking about elite athletes, I don't think that needs to be a focus. And again, it goes back to the total daily amount, not necessarily, when you're having that. The last one is my favorite one. I don't want to get bulky. Did you know that right now in this very moment, 6:40 p.m., there are thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of men in gyms, wellness centers, home basements trying to get bulky and they can't. They can't get bulky. They're trying everything. It's just not in the cards for them. There's a lot of women I run into. I'm worried about. I don't want to be huge. You will not. There's everything against you trying to get huge. And look at this picture. Muscle is smaller than fat anyway. So focusing on protein is going to help you build your muscle, help you lose fat. Muscle is smaller than fat. You will not get bulky, I promise. If you do, call me. We're signing you up for some sort of lifting competition because you have been blessed by God with awesome genetics.
As someone who was signed up by her coach for weightlifting, Zach will probably do that. I went from cross country where my calves got huge because I was running every single day, and I complained about it to my coach, and they were like, well, good for you. Weightlifting signups are right around the corner. I was like, what is that? So I did weightlifting in high school too.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing is that I actually lost, from a poundage perspective, I lost more weight in weightlifting than I did in cross country. And I think you and I were talking about this yesterday, Zach. Like, it was, part of it is because my body wasn't used to any sort of activity and it had to build
Right.
some sort of muscle to support it. And then once it had it, then it was like, okay, we can release all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no such
Linda's got
thing
chiming in.
as, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Linda's chiming in with some questions I'd be happy to answer. So, 20 milligrams of protein per meal, no snacking. So again, I think Linda, going back to the requirements, it's for me, I would like to reverse engineer it. What is your target? Right? We just talked through that in detail. How many feedings are you doing? I'm doing 3 meals. So then for me, if I'm looking for 200 grams of protein, I'm doing 60, 70, 70. 60 at breakfast, 70 at lunch, 70 at dinner, which ends up being like a pound of animal meat and a thick protein shake in the morning every day. And the no snacking component, I've just found that easiest for me. I don't have to track my calories if I don't snack. So you can snack. You could have 4 feedings if you wanted. You could have 5 if that's what was easier for you. For me as a dad, snacking was carbs. Snacking was the butt end of a granola bar. Snacking was the back half of a banana. And that I can get carbs really easily. I don't need help getting carbs between meals. So for me, it was okay. I'm just going to cut snacking. And then when I did that, I didn't have to track calories because I just didn't have enough time to consume more calories with my protein focus that I had at the meals. And your second question, a 10-minute walk right after eating. I'll do you one better. Just do 10 body weight squats. The benefit of a 10-minute walk after eating is the activation of your muscles. So you've just consumed fuel. There's fuel flowing, coursing through your bloodstream. There are 2 main ways our body absorbs that energy. One is the liver. The other is your muscles. So when you activate those muscles with a walk, sucks up that energy that you just consumed and levels out your blood sugar way faster. But and 10 walks are great. It just depends on what you have. Like if I could go for a walk every night after dinner, I would. Because of the stress reduction, the relaxation component, the being outside, it's great. But if you don't have time for that, 10 body weight squats accomplishes the same thing in 20 seconds. I do want to just if you guys are interested, I just put it in. I'll put it in the chat. but the 100-year map is a free resource. You can check that out. You type in your age, your weight, and your gender and your email, and you should, if my app works, so you'll appreciate that. My app works properly, you'll get a PDF.
It's pretty awesome. I really
Stephanie, I actually updated it. It's way prettier now. You should maybe actually go again.
all right,
and you can.
maybe
You can
I
as
will.
many times as you want. It's free, so
I
it's
have
got
a
a major
question.
facelift.
I have a couple questions, Zach. So I've noticed, and we talked about this yesterday, so just kind of, I guess, a recap. But I've noticed that my stomach is not liking animal protein. So my first question is, other than like protein shakes, which I do 1 to 2 a day, what are some other really great ways to grab protein? I've been trying to incorporate more beans, fibrous vegetables like broccoli and things like that. But are there any other, and not tofu? I can't do tofu. I'm sorry, anybody who likes tofu on the call. I don't like tofu.
So you're saying outside of animal protein? Yeah. So, I mean, to be completely honest, that is not my specialty, but I think lentils are a good one in terms of a protein standpoint from a plant source. Um, the thing about when you start looking for plant protein, one of the hard things is that it's typically caught up in phytic acid or phytates, I believe, is the compound that it's kind of wrapped up in. So one thing that you could do is soak those. So like buying raw beans and soaking them, or buying lentils and soaking them then before you cook them, can make those easier to digest and process, so that those don't in turn start irritating you. Um, the but nuts, seeds, lentils, beans, you're kind of hitting on the right ones. Um, there is also, if and it depends on kind of what it is. So I've had some people that have come and I've worked with that have said animal protein's bothering me. When we dug into it, it was actually fat that was bothering them. So like they could have chicken, they're like, oh yeah, chicken's fine. But then they have a steak, or they'd have a burger and would have essentially dumping syndrome. Very uncomfortable, very unpleasant. So then I said, well, how do you handle ice cream? Oh, I can't have ice cream. Like, all right, how about an avocado? No, oh no, don't, Nick, yeah. Okay, so it's like, all right, well, we've pinpointed now, it's actually fat. So many times it depends on what it is, but for people that are dealing with can't have animal meat, I think, is it maybe the fat that they can't deal with? Floating stools would be a symptom of that. Like a dumping syndrome, like shortly after the meal, the fat's not absorbed, which builds um, osmotic pressure, pulling water into the intestines, and then everything comes out. So in that situation, I would look at gallbladder support and liver support, and a fat absorption support like ox bile extract, to add that in, because unless you have recently had a tick bite and have developed a red meat allergy, most of the time there's other things from a digestive standpoint that are going on. The other thing I was going to mention with that in mind is there are 2 or 3 different, there are protein powders. So there are plant-based protein powders. Sun Warrior is a good one. Kachava is the best tasting. They've done a great job with that. Um, those are typically going to be a version of pumpkin seed protein, hemp seed protein, rice protein, and pea protein, excuse me. Those are going to be the 4 that you're going to see. Peas, by the way, that's a good one, protein source I didn't mention. But so you can get a plant protein powder. You could also try a whey protein powder that's dairy derived. Again, if you're dairy sensitive, that's not going to be okay. But there's also a third one. Or excuse me, there's 2 others. There is a hydrolyzed beef protein powder you can buy. So okay, I don't want this, but I don't want to have dairy also. So the beef is what I recommend to my very sensitive clients that have like IBS or SIBO. And then there's also egg white protein. you can purchase as well. So there are protein powders of different varieties that you can supplement and add in to enhance that protein intake throughout the day if the meat is a problem. But if meat's a problem, I'm digging really deep in that situation and saying, okay, why is this a problem? I'm even actually, you guys will laugh. One of my clients, I converted away from veganism. I converted, I started having animal protein. It's just so hard to beat. It's so much more it's more biologically available, has a better amino acid profile. It just makes it easier to hit your goals. And I believe we were meant to be omnivores.
Yeah, and you and I talked yesterday too around from like stomach acid standpoint, right? Like I produce a lot of
Yes.
stomach acid and then top that off with some pills to help with the stomach acid. And you mentioned that it might just be the fact that my body doesn't want to digest it anymore because I don't have enough stomach acid in it.
Yeah. Well,
So
and that's what happens actually as we get older. uh, a natural process is we have less stomach acid. That's why I think it can be harder for older people to have things like animal protein. So I typically, in that situation, I'm recommending more crock pot style recipes, shredded chicken, pot roast, right? Things that have been really pork shoulder that's been really broken down and cooked for a long period of time. And then maybe even put in with a soup because then there's dry mouth things that can happen as we get older as well. So absolutely that stomach acid is a big one. That is the main place where proteins digestion happens is in the stomach.
yeah. Alicia, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I had a question about quality of protein. So,
Yep.
do you need to buy the fancy eggs? Do you need to buy the organic beef? What is your
Yeah.
opinion or view nutritionally on the quality of proteins?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's fantastic. I so if you look at the data that I've looked at least, when I did do the research, there is a difference.
Okay.
There is a difference. And even there was kind of a clickbait story that came out where people were feeding their cows a bunch of not rotten, but like spoiled fruit. And the micronutrient profile of their beef was like off the charts. So what the cow eats, or what the chicken eats, is going to impact it. It is. I like to think. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a cadaver, but I did biology undergrad and dissected a cadaver as part of my undergrad program. And you are what you eat, in a lot of ways, and it goes with the animals too. So I think it does make a difference. But I'm of the opinion that there's a hierarchy to things. Number one, total daily protein intake. That's number one. Some days you're getting there with crappy stuff.
Mm.
You know, I'm not McDonald's. I don't go to McDonald's, but something else that you maybe wouldn't want, right? So maybe it's a Jimmy John's that has nitrates in it, right, or something like that. Then after that, it's okay. What are we doing in terms of the processing, right? Like, is it organic? Is it this? Then after that, it's okay. Does it have artificial sweeteners or things that I typically want to avoid? Is it a monk fruit based thing? So to me, it's that hierarchy,
Mhm.
and I don't want to get that confused, right? It's okay. This is the main thing. If that's handled, yeah, then let's worry about that. But most people, they just need to worry about this top thing.
Got it.
Yeah, in that elimination diet, it was like only organic chicken is all I could have, or I think it was organic chicken or of all things buffalo meat.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I ended up not buffalo meat is really expensive, and when you're feeding a family of four, it's like
yeah,
yeah, no. So we primarily ate chicken the whole time.
mhm,
And I could tell a difference on the days where we had organic, fresh chicken
mhm.
versus, just the non-organic
Yeah,
side. Um, but I know cost is somewhat prohibitive for some people in regards to that as well. So um, I think like for now, I have two teenagers in the house who are dump trucks when it comes to food, which is
yeah,
great. I'm excited about that. I'd rather them eat a lot than
right.
not eat at all. And there are days where I'm like, are you okay? But yeah, so we haven't been doing well at that, and we live in the middle of nowhere, so there's not really a whole lot of organic food options here either. So
Quick recommendation for you that I've been using for a while is a Butcher Box. It's a subscription service, sends it to the house. It's actually very affordable. It's a good deal. Or I know people like when my kids get older, I'm gonna just be looking into splitting cows with people or getting one
yes,
myself.
I actually was just looking at that the other day. We have a local butcher who does a butcher box. So that's something I'm actually going to be looking at. Yeah.
100%. And just compare the price, right? Like don't, they're typically better priced,
Oh
than if
yeah.
you were to go to the store. And to me, this one other quick note, I've noticed, so to your question that the organic stuff I think it tastes better too.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you can
Yeah.
like taste it's just not as slimy. I don't know what
Mhm.
it is, but like once you have it and kind of there's an initial change to get used to, but once you overcome that and then you go back, like, oh no, we
I
need to get
noticed
the
that
organic
too,
stuff.
like with cow's milk. I used to love, I know Linda's like, don't be talking about cow's milk. My family were dairy farmers, so that was never even a question. But and margarine versus butter too. So butter tastes better. And
Yeah.
I notice now, like with cow's milk, I actually can't do cow's milk anymore because it tastes too sweet because of all of
Oh
the
yeah.
additives in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, funny.
yeah, yeah.
I have a question, Zach, about I've really started to like work on the nuts, eating nuts and as snacks, and I love I've got a pumpkin flaxseed coconut granola, but it's
Yeah.
so high in calories. So
Yeah.
I mean, how do you balance that? Because I mean, for me, who it likes to eat large quantities, a quarter
Mhm.
of a cup is a portion.
Okay.
Seriously, come on now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think it probably tastes too good. If you want to limit the calories, it sounds so simple, but like I would maybe switch it to I would break it apart. I mean, it's not so then it's not a treat. So it's like just the pumpkin seeds. You'll be able to eat as much. That's a trick there. But yeah, granola, like if you weigh out granola, like what a serving is, the calories, you're just gonna fall to the floor, right? It's horrible. You're like, this is it. This is 100 grams. Are you kidding? That's like half a hand. That's like a third of a handful. So yeah, granola it's a tough one.
I stopped
I
eating
think
granola dry. That was how I started eating it with
yeah,
yogurt.
yeah. Just use it, and by itself, right? Trail mix is another. It's the same thing. It's delicious. I'm a sucker for trail mix, but I've stopped eating it. But what I will do, here's what I will do, Linda, is I will put it, if I'm gonna have a treat, if I'm gonna have dessert, if I'm gonna have trail mix, it's just simply on the back half of a meal. I've had my protein. For me, that's a lot. We went through my example. I had a half pound of ground beef with tacos. Then I have some trail mix. I'm just gonna get full. It's just gonna be hard. So that's another reason why I'm having protein first and I'm not snacking. It's hard to eat that much food, large quantities of food, when you've had the amount of protein that you really need.
I would agree with that for sure.
I have one last question. Do
No.
you do you find that with higher protein intake, you also have to increase your water intake or make sure you get enough water? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, I have not seen that specifically, like that specific need
Hmm.
in the research. I think that potentially could stem from an old science thought that high protein diets were hard on the kidneys and that you would need to consume more water to offset that potential harm you were doing to your kidneys. That has since been found to be not true.
Oh,
However, if you have kidney disease, talk to your doctor. I don't mess with kidney disease. I do not mess with kidney disease. That's something I don't touch it. If you have kidney disease, sorry, I can't help you. I can support your nephrologist, but I'm not, not one of those things I touch. So, but since it's been found that, high protein diets have not been found to be damaging to the kidneys. I think there would be things like, there would be evidence in kidney markers. Like I take creatine and I consume a lot of animal protein, so my creatinine markers would be really high. If I go to a doctor and say, "Oh, like your kidney markers are high," I say, "Well, let's do something that doesn't rely on my diet, like cystatin C, or let's look at a different marker because I have a really high protein diet, and I take creatine." So I think that that's where that would come from. But no, I think in general, though, hydration is another one of those things that's so important for mental performance and performance that most people are under consuming water. You want to, I'm actually gonna I run a little breakfast club on the second Tuesday of every month. Next Tuesday morning, I'm gonna be talking about hydration. I'm gonna shoot for half your body weight in ounces per day, without sweat losses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you're sweating, right, then you gotta add more in. So I don't have mine with me, but I have a 40-ounce cup that I drink at least 4 times. I drain it 4 times a day. So to me, it's like, well, it's probably not a requirement of high protein, but you should anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions for Zach?
This was great, Zach. I really appreciate it. My client even said, "Oh my gosh, you're on with Zach Zenner. That's too super cool. You can be late to our appointment." So,
Funny.
See, I told you.
yeah,
Superstar.
very cool. Yes, and I would love to I'd love to get to know you more, and I'd love to use a couple of your slide stuff on. I'm writing a book, and it's on mental health and the chemistry, and putting in this piece on food and how that changes the brain chemistry. I'd be happy to use your name in my book if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Stephanie, why don't you just connect us via email and I'll send over the slides.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much. It was
All
great
right.
to meet you, Zach. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, a
you.
lot of fun. You
Thanks,
can tell
Tiffany.
I get fired. Sorry if I get a little feisty about this, but I get fired up about it and I'm passionate.
That's
It's
what we
awesome.
love.
You did a great job. Thanks so much.
Yes. All right. And so, Zach, I'm going to put your details wherever it is that we post this review. I'm going to put your details below. Is there anything that you want anybody to know as far as how to work with you?
You can find me on pretty much every social media platform. Shoot me a message. I'm very responsive. I got a website, zion-performance.com. And there's a link in most of my social medias in all of them, to book a call if you're interested or anything piqued your interest or want to learn more or just, talk shop. Happy to hop on and connect with people. So that link is pretty much everywhere.
Awesome. Sounds great. If you're interested in learning more about mental health, business as a solopreneur, especially if you have a neurodivergence aspect to your brain, you are welcome to reach out to me. My name is Stephanie Kunkel, and I would love to work with you. I partner with Alicia and the Ultra U app with the Wellness Lab as well. So if you're looking for small tweaks that you can do to bring you closer to where you need to be, where you want to be, we can work with you on that as well. So thanks so much, Zach. I really appreciate you being here and partnering with us for sure.
Yeah, you bet. It was a lot of fun chatting and good questions.
Yes, thank you. Okay.